So with the US Open only a couple of days away, it's time to go through the predictions, and let's just hope that I have a better prediction than Wimbledon, because Wimbledon predictions were terrible.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So an interesting one to start with, Medvedev, Sinner, a little bit of an interesting clash as well. They're both in the same half of the draw, top half, and Alcaraz is in their way. I'm going to go with Medvedev to have a better run. I think that just not being that close to Alcaraz, whereas Sinner has to play Alcaraz a little earlier, that might be the downfall for Sinner. So I'm going to go Medvedev. The best of the qualies, I'm going to go with Taro Daniel. He's been really good this year on the hard courts. He played really well at Acapulco, beating Casper Ruud back in March or April or somewhere around there. And on the women's side, I'm going to go with Zvonareva. Made a final back in 2010, and no one's talking about her in general. I mean, everyone's talking about Wozniacki and all these Grand Slam champions. She used to be a really, really good player. I think she got to number 2 in the world, Grand Slam finalist. So I reckon Zvonareva and Daniel are going to have a qualifier run. So the country that I think is going to do the best at the US Open is USA. I'm just going to go with USA because they've got the most players that are playing this event. And also, it could have been between them and Russia because Russia do have a lot of competitors as well. Even the Czech Republic are starting to get a lot of players as well, especially up the top. But I'm going to go with the USA at home. They're going to play well. The most aces, I'm going to go with Hurkacz again. He's hit more aces than anybody this season, so I've got to keep going with him. On the women's side, I'm going to go with Sabalenka. I think Sabalenka will do well at this tournament and get far in the event, which is part of the reason why I'm picking her for the most aces, because she's going to play the most matches where she can hit multiple aces. So the 1 and 2 in the world, who's going to go further? I reckon Sabalenka might go a little further. Once it gets to the quarterfinals onwards, it's really going to be tough for Swiatek. She's going to play some really tough players if the seeds fall that way. I'm going to go with Sabalenka. I think she's got a nicer draw, and she probably will get to at least the semi-finals, where Swiatek, she might fall a little short. So the players that I think will have an unseeded run, I'm going to go with Lehechka, who actually made a final last week in Winston-Salem. He's actually been really good on hard courts this year as well. He was pretty good at the Australian Open at the start of the year. And I'm going to go with Sofia Kenin. She actually beat Coco Gauff at Wimbledon, one of the last times that Gauff had an upset loss. Also, of course, won the Australian Open back in 2020. So I'm going to go with Lehechka and Kenin to have an unseeded run. All right, top 10 upsets in the first week. I'm going to go with Garcia. She has had some really strange losses this year. Maybe the pressure of being in the top 10 and, of course, being the WTA Finals champion. But on the men's side, I'm going to go with Rublev. He has such a tough draw from the first day onwards. So I don't know how he's going to get through all the killers. And, of course, if he doesn't get to the 4th round, that's an upset for me in that first week. So Rublev, Garcia, toughest roads and also upset. So for the dark horses for this event, I've got to go with Hurkacz on the men's side. Of course, played really well, nearly beat Alcaraz. Twice, actually, nearly beat Alcaraz, put him to tie breaks in the matches that he played. And he pushed Djokovic as well at Wimbledon, so I've got to go with Hubie Hurkacz. And I'm going to go with Samsonova. She's played really well lately, made a semi-final in Washington, made the final in Canada. So I'm going to go with her to have a great unseeded run, maybe get to the quarterfinals or better. So the big one, Djokovic, Alcaraz, who's going to have a bigger run? I think I picked Djokovic the last 2 times. We're going to make it 3 in a row. I think Djokovic is going to have a better run than Alcaraz at this US Open. He's got an easier road to the final, which helps. So you can almost put Djokovic in the final already. Alcaraz does have a couple of hurdles to overcome. So my hot take for the US Open, usually it's who's going to lose or what crazy thing's going to happen. It's going to be a little bit more positive this time. I reckon Casper Ruud's going to surprise a lot of people and do well. He hasn't played well lately. I mean, since the French Open, he hasn't played that well. But he did make the final last year, and he's got a decent draw. Probably a semi-final. Maybe he loses to Djokovic, but I reckon watch out for Casper Ruud at this event. All right, so my semi-final lineups. This is the hardest thing to do, I think, for me anyway. I seem to never get this right. I'm going to go with Swiatek taking on Mukova in the first semi-final and Sabalenka Pegula in the next one. On the men's side, I'm going to go with Djokovic taking on Casper Ruud in one of the semis, and then Alcaraz taking on Medvedev. And again, I'm picking 3 of the top 4 favorites. To be honest, I'm picking 4 of the top 5. And the big one, who is going to win the US Open this year? I've got to go with Djokovic on the men's side. It's so hard not to pick him. And I'm going to go with Sabalenka on the women's side. I think I might have picked Sabalenka at the end of last year, so I'm kind of mirroring that. I did pick Zverev at the end of last year, but, don't watch that video. Let me know down in the comments below. What are your predictions for this event? Of course, it's happening in a couple of days' time. We will do a reaction to this on the main channel at the end of the tournament and see how many I got wrong, which, again, as long as I do better than Wimbledon. Wimbledon sucked. I did so bad there.
This guy stinks!
I predicted terribly. I don't think I had one correct for a long time. So hopefully I do better than that. Let's see. Can I get better at the US Open? Let me know down in the comments below. What are your predictions for this year's US Open?